Welcome to the You're in Charge podcast, prioritizing your self-care without sacrifice. I'm your host, Heather Dumas, healthy lifestyle strategist, owner and founder of HD Transformations Coaching Company. I am passionate about helping you juggle all the balls and look and feel like a badass doing it. All right, I'm excited today to chat with Kim Flores. She's joining me to chat about the power of slowing down and stillness. And she is a board certified nurse practitioner and a chief holistic health expert with Sulfurcine Health. How did I say
Frosiny.
that? Sophrosiny. I knew I was going to butcher. I should have asked you.
Okay.
After working in healthcare for over a decade, she realized that she was not helping people get healthy. A lot of podcasts that I follow, they call it the sick care system, not the healthcare system. And she realized she was only putting Band-Aids on problems. So she started her own company. And it was to bridge the gap between healthcare and health by giving women the knowledge they need to make informed decisions, root cause testing, yes, and custom protocols to fit their individual needs. Okay, I'm going to let you tell us about yourself and who you are and what you do.
Well, my name is Kimberly Flores. I am a nurse practitioner by trade. I've been a nurse since 2009, but also outside of my career, I am a wife. I am a fur mommy to my fur baby, Samuel, who is asleep behind me. Also a competitive weightlifter. Been doing that for well over a decade. And like you said, I knew I wanted to be a nurse from the age of 8 years old. And as excited as I was to finally graduate from nursing school and then nurse practitioner school and just continue to thrive in a career that I loved, it was like this slow realization that healthcare was, in fact, sick care. And the intention of why I wanted to be a nurse and a nurse practitioner to help other people get better, I was finding almost impossible to do because of the responsibilities and all the other stuff that came with practicing as a nurse practitioner. And that's when I started burning out initially in 2020. COVID was kind of like I'm done. I cannot handle this anymore. And that's when I was like, all right, well, if I can't do what I'm passionate about and truly create effective change in people's lives, then I'm going to figure out how to do it myself. And that's exactly what I did.
I think you were in good company. I know a lot of people that were in the healthcare world when that all came crashing down, and they ended up leaving because it was just too hard on everybody for a variety of reasons. But yeah, it's very frustrating to me the way that the healthcare system is built and the way that we don't help people get healthier. We just, like you said, we put Band-Aids on problems. And it's because patenting advice about eating broccoli is not possible. You can't make money by telling people to slow down or to go to the gym, but you make money on writing prescriptions and you make money on office visits and every scan known to man. I know one of my biggest pet peeves right now is once I figured out that the drug companies are like running the world. Now, every time I'm watching like mainstream TV, not like streamed stuff, I get so pissed off at all the pharmaceutical ads and all the stupid jingles and all that. I'm like, ugh, it just makes me so mad.
And especially when like the side effect profile is like so gently and softly spoken. And I'm like, bro,
it's like, it may kill you and it may do all these things. They say it really fast. Yeah, they do a lot of really bad things. But, you know, we have people singing a jingle and dancing along instead of like addressing the problem. So the root cause, which I love that we are in alignment with that, because I do think that obviously there is a place for a lot of our modern medicine. And I think it's done a lot of good for a lot of people, but I think also it becomes a crutch. Well, get off of that soapbox for a minute. So slowing down, we were chatting about the fact that even though both of us love to lift weights, even though both of us love to move our bodies and do all those things, we also recognize the importance of slowing down. Tell me more about what you've learned about that.
I can't say that I learned the easy way. I am now coming out on the other side of full-on burnout. And it's interesting, this dichotomy of being a healthcare provider, but then also having to become a patient. I mean, silver lining, it's helped me to really resonate and empathize with my current clients because they're all walking through something very, very similar. And what I've learned is this. if you aren't feeling well, and the number one symptom I always hear is fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
Tired. I can get 8 or 9 hours of sleep. I still feel tired. I feel like I wake up and I get hit by a truck. I'm having to take afternoon naps when I didn't have to do that before. Normal everyday things are becoming high stress tasks because they just don't have the energy. Like, I know for me, when I was at my absolute worst, like I couldn't go to the gym. It became physically impossible. And it's so depressing when something you love so much, like going to the gym or, meeting up with your friends, it becomes so labor intensive because you lack any sort of energetic capacity that it's contributing to your burnout, even though it's something you once loved. And so I didn't take advice. I'm going to use myself as my own case study, if you will. When I was going to the doctors and they were gaslighting me, even though they were, and they were like, oh, it's just stress, cut back on your days at the gym, try not to take on more things than you can handle. Cause I've always been that like type A personality. And by listening to your podcast, you seem like you're very,
I am a very proud type A control freak. Yes.
Yes. So when they tell me that, I'm like, no, it's fine. Like, I'll be fine. It wasn't until like I physically could not get out of bed and I felt like I was dying inside. I still didn't believe it. And I was pushing myself to the gym where I was going. And it got to the point where I would show up to the gym and I just tears streaming down my face because my body knew that I should not be there, that I couldn't handle it. And I finally listened when I became a Dutch testing provider, which is a dry urine hormone testing avenue that isn't widely recognized by our traditional healthcare system. But I went ahead and got it done anyways because my lab results from the doctors were normal.
Yes.
I'm like, something is definitely not normal inside of me. And my cortisol levels, girl, they weren't even high because I had pushed myself so far and didn't slow down that my adrenals started to shut down. And so I wasn't even producing cortisol, which is why it was so hard to just get out of bed.
Yeah.
And so now I'm like, okay, I should probably listen to what everyone else is telling me and really slow down. And
well, our bodies have those governing systems. And if you push them too far, too hard, they will just shut down.
Oh, yeah. And looking back in hindsight, I could see them all. Like, I shouldn't be going to the gym and crying. Like, why is my body like
if you're walking in the gym and crying, you might have a problem.
Like, if that's not a walking red flag, I don't know what is.
Yes. That's funny. But we are told, and we are subtly not told, it's like subliminal messaging, that if you just keep grinding, if you just push through, and if you just white knuckle, then you'll be okay.
Do it when you don't feel like it. You don't have to be motivated. Just keep going.
Just keep going. And there is some truth to that, the right situation. I mean, I was an athlete, I coach athletes, and at that point, sometimes they do need that push. Mm-hmm. But if you're literally crying because you can't get out of bed, you do not need to be going to the gym. That's what aggravates me is then we go to our doctors and they do our blood test and they're like, you're normal. And it's like, well, what is normal? 85% of the population is overweight or obese. Like, is that normal? I don't want to be normal. Is normal dying of a heart attack when I'm 55? Is that normal? No, like, I don't want that. Is normal getting, one of 15 different kinds of cancer, 90% of which are avoidable by lifestyle? I don't want that either. If that's normal, I would like to be very abnormal. Thank you very much. And I actually had a doctor that I was going to for hormone treatment, and he was not the traditional provider, but I asked him to do the Dutch test for me. And he goes, oh, that's not accurate. I don't like it. I was like, it's actually more accurate than blood, but okay.
More answers than my serum labs ever gave me. And I do say there's a time and a space to use them complementary, right?
Right, for sure. You need to use.
I found all my answers in the Dutch test.
This was also someone who, I was teaching 12 group fitness classes a week. I was working out on my own. I was eating super clean, all the things, and I was gaining fat and losing muscle.
I went through the same exact thing.
And I was like, yo. And he's like, I think you look great. I'm like, I don't give a shit what you think. I'm here to figure out why I'm doing this and my body is doing that. And they don't connect. Help me draw the lines here, like connect the dots. And then he said to me, have you ever thought that just maybe this is the way God made you? Bitch, please. I was so pissed off. I almost came across that desk and strangled him. And I was like, okay, we're out. That's all. We're done. I'm doing all the things and it's not working. I hear that all the time. So I created something to help you figure that out. I created a quick quiz, takes you 2 minutes, go through, answer the questions, and I'm going to tell you why it's not working. And for fun, I'm going to tie it to your favorite 90s sitcom character. Well, she may not be your favorite, but she likely struggles the same as you. If you're busy juggling work and family and trying to take care of yourself and it's not working, you need to take my lifestyle quiz. It is free. It is 2 minutes. And like I said, I'll send you a personal response back telling you exactly what you need to do to make it work. Grab it on my website. Back to the conversation. I went and found a female provider who was like, oh no, tell me how you feel. I don't care what the numbers say. She's like, I'll check them to make sure there's nothing like crazy. She's like, but how do you feel? And she helped me figure out the right combination of things. Plus, I went and got a food sensitivity test, which was eye-opening, and did my own research and my own deep dives for years. We're talking like 5 years worth of, I probably did enough research. I should have a degree behind my name. Now I go in and I'm like, what about this? What about that? And she's great. She's like, what would you like me to test for you today? And then she sends me the results and she's like, call me and let me know if you have questions. Cause she knows I've done such a deep dive. Like, I'm like, oh, that number, that's good. That's good. That's good. And it's amazing, but you have to find someone who's willing to have that conversation with you.
Yeah.
And for me, it was cutting back. It was not doing 12 group fitness classes a week plus my own workouts. It was actually dropping those classes and maybe taking a day off and doing, God forbid, yoga instead of, HIIT training.
I agree. And it blows me away how similar our stories are, which is just even more confirmation that I have done all the right things. And when I finally found the doctor to review the Dutch test for me, she started going through all my results and she kind of looks at me. She's like, what has happened these past couple of years to you? And I kind of told her, and it was just a combination of, being a competitive Olympic weightlifter, not just doing it as a hobby, but training competitively is a stressor, right?
For sure.
But it's a stress nonetheless. 2-hour workouts, 5 to 6 days a week. It's like a full-time job. So that was one thing, but I had also gotten burned out as a nurse practitioner. So I left my career, the only career I've ever known, and started a business at the same time. And I got married and I moved to a new state all in the same month.
No wonder your body was like, stop the madness. We're just going to shut down and we're going to go hide in a corner because this is way too much.
But my internal type A personality, this constant need to produce, which now, after therapy and lots of deep reflection of, questioning why do I feel like my worth is based on productivity, to have a doctor, finally a physician look me in the eyes and say, I need you to slow down. Mm-hmm. You are worthy, even if you don't compete anymore, even if you do cut back hours. And I was like, the healing that comes from a medical professional to just validate you.
Yeah.
That in itself helped me heal. And that is when I truly started to cut back.
Yeah.
And get better.
Yeah. It's frustrating. And that's why I do this. And I'm sure why you do what you do is to get this information out there so that women don't have to spend. I mean, it took me 5.5-ish years of really focusing on, okay, what do I need? What makes my body tick? What do I not need? My life now compared to where it was 7 years ago when I started this journey, I mean, honestly, it's been a lot longer than that, but professionally is completely different. It's completely different. I walk like 3 miles a day. And I was like, only old ladies walk and they walk around.
I said the same thing. I was like, this is so boring. Why am I doing this? This is all my body can handle right now.
But it literally changed my life. I used to have psoas pain like you wouldn't believe. And for those who don't know, it's this annoying little triangle shaped muscle deep inside that connects to your pelvis and your femur. And it gives you the worst low back pain ever. And I thought I had back problems. And I finally went to my chiropractor and I was like, dude, I can't and he took this thing and he pushed it down into my hip and he's like, yeah, that's not a bone. That's a muscle. You need a massage. And I was like, oh, okay. And after 3 months of torturous massage, this was not the good, spa kind of massage. This was get in there and make me cry kind of massage.
Therapeutic one that doesn't feel good.
Then it released, but then it would tighten up again. Well, I start walking and it goes away. completely.
Who would
I
have thunk?
texted him and I was like, who knew walking would fix all my problems? I don't need hours of massage. I don't need like all this stuff. I just need to go for a freaking walk. Like, are you serious? But that's what it was, and it was figuring out my hormones, and it was figuring out what foods my body likes and what it doesn't, and figuring out that HIIT training and weight training and spin class and all the things I was teaching were benefiting everyone but me. My people loved me, but my body hated me.
And I think as we get older, I think I fought for so long that just because I'm aging doesn't mean I have to be less active, doesn't mean I have to give up the things that I love, lifting,
Right.
hiking, doing all the active things. But there needs to be a recognition of, as we do age, what serves our body is going to look different. I never
Yeah.
thought that I'd be like one of those people out for my daily walks. And now here I am at first because it was all I could do. And now I realize, like, even when I was training for 2 hours a day, I was coming home the rest of the day and I was sitting on my butt. Like I
Right.
worked at a computer. I was so inactive outside
Right.
of the gym. So now every couple of hours, I'm going for a walk. I have a tracker to make sure I'm hitting at least 10,000 steps a day. That's allowing me to get more sunshine, more fresh air. I make sure I walk through some of the greenery trails here. And it's completely changed the way not only I move my body, but how I can handle stress throughout the day because I'm taking periodic breaks to get away from the computer screen. So it all has
Right.
kind of come full circle. I was
Yeah.
fighting the stillness, but now, like, I'm okay. No, I don't need to be super sore and sweaty to get a good workout in.
Yeah. That's a mind fuck for me. I still struggle with it. So I go and I do my yoga in a sauna so that I can like mentally be okay with it.
Get your heart rate up just a little bit more.
Just a little bit, just a little bit. I just need a little sweat. It's definitely like a mental issue. But the walking, honestly, like I started it because my dog, he wasn't here. I took him to the vet and she was like, he's a little too fluffy. And I was like, oh, I like it. And she's like, no. And so we had to start our daily walks. And I did it for him, but it ended up really benefiting me. And so then I would drop him off at home and keep going. That was a game changer and really like backing off on the high intensity intervals. And I still do them. I just don't do them as much. I listen to my body. And if I'm tired, I don't go push through that intense workout. I go and dial it back. I go and do some more reps and less weight. Or yesterday, I text my husband from the gym and I was like, zero motivation. I was like staring at the weights and I was like, okay, come on, lift them. And I just wasn't into it. I just was not feeling it. And I was like, okay, you know what? It's just not a good day for this. So I'm going to do something, but I'm going to be okay with the fact that I didn't do the full plan. And I think it's really giving yourself that grace of it's okay. Are you quitting because you don't feel like it every day? No, that's an issue. You got to push through sometimes. But when you're literally too tired or you've got too much on your mind, it will work against you. And that's what I was going through. I was stressing myself out like you were, mentally, physically, emotionally, and on top of it, eating foods that were inflammatory, AKA stress. And so my body was like, we don't need muscle here. We need fats. We're going to hold on to that. We're going to like pack it on because we don't know what's happening.
I gained like 20 pounds without changing. This was before I even stopped weightlifting. I gained like 20 pounds in a matter of 6 months or so. And I was getting periodic DEXA scans because I'm a competitor and I want to see that what I'm doing is working.
Yeah.
And in a span of 6 months, I had lost over 11 pounds of muscle mass. And when I present this to a doctor, they don't even know what to do with it. And they're like, what do you mean you got a DEXA scan? Because when they think DEXA scan, they're thinking about like bone density. I'm like, no, I had a DEXA scan to monitor my muscle mass.
Right.
And so when I told her I lost all this muscle mass, it was almost like it couldn't penetrate her thought process. She just like glazed eyes over and she's like, I just think you're really, really stressed. And maybe this is early perimenopause. I'm like, bro, I'm 35 years old. How early is perimenopause? And I'm a nurse practitioner. I'm like, okay, so my mom went into menopause starting at 50, and you usually hit menopause around the time your mother did. And I know that the food in America sucks and we have so many environmental toxins. And I know that things are getting worse and worse.
But not 15 years worth.
I'm like, that's your only answer for what I'm going through. And I was losing my hair. She was like, yep, that's stress. Check my thyroid. It was normal, which was not my normal. It was their normal, which is
Right.
very abnormal for me, like you said earlier. Just
Well,
like, it's
that's really
gotta find
important
the
to
right
know that
person.
what your normal is. And that's what I figured out. I figured out that I run much better on higher testosterone than most women. And when I was started HRT, I was pretty high. And then this dude jacked me clear up because that's what he was crazy. But anyway, the dude took me clear back down and he's like, no, you're way too high. And I was like, okay, I mean, I'm willing to experiment, but to a certain point. I'm like, but you can't like roll me back too far back. And then he would check my numbers. He's like, oh, you must feel crazy. And I'm like, no, I don't. I don't feel crazy. In fact, I don't feel great. And he's like, well,
Yeah.
you must. The numbers say. I'm like, no. My current provider, she's like, how do you feel at this number? How do you feel at that number? And we would play with it. And she's like, how's your energy? How's your this? And she's checking my platelets to make sure that I don't have any, bad side effects or whatever. But everyone's so afraid to go outside what is normal when normal isn't healthy. Normal is killing us. There's like more hospitals going up every day. Why is that? So I think it's important to know what is good for you and to find someone who will discuss the numbers with you and ask you how you feel at each number. And I really found out that my testosterone has to be a certain level or I feel flat.
Yeah.
I don't have energy. I don't have strength, but I also swung the bar too far the other way. And I was like batshit crazy. There is definitely a pendulum effect, but I started losing my hair too. Like 6 months ago, I like looked in the mirror and I was like, what's going on here? And figured out that there were some different things I was doing that I was like, oh, maybe that's it. I shouldn't mess with that. So too much is too much. All right, let's pause for a second and talk about protein. Now, there's a lot of debate about carnivore, vegan, all of that stuff. What I want to tell you is you can get protein from plants and from animals. But if you want to get your protein from plants, it needs to be the right plants. That's why I have a vegan protein that is delicious, it mixes easily, and it is made from the right plants. It is made from chia seed, sacha inchi seeds, pea protein, and cranberry seeds. And you're like, what? Cranberries? Yes, they have protein. If you combine the right ones, they do what your body needs. And the best part is it tastes good because it's sweetened with stevia, not a bunch of fillers, not sugar, nothing else. It's not a bunch of crap. Grab yours on my website today, test it out, and let me know what you think. Now back to the conversation.
I feel like that's one of the biggest differences among many things, but one of the most important differences between like a traditional healthcare provider and one that's coming from a functional health background is they have a lot more confidence in treating the patient and not the numbers.
Right.
Like, obviously you don't want to be like too far swayed into the extremes of too low or too high. But like you said, like having that line of communication and trust with your patient, client, whatever you want to call them, and hearing and listening. How do you feel? How many providers actually ask that question? And if they do, are they actually listening and do they really, really care?
No. And most of them don't have the time. Like they're not allowed to spend the time. It's like, check, 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 check. Are you alive? Cool. Any like red flags? Okay, cool. And that's it. Yeah. I mean, that's the simplest things. Like, even if you're not talking about like medical intervention, I had a recent client. She had insane menstrual issues, insane. Like her periods would like take her down. She was not sleeping. She had crazy leg cramps, all kinds of stuff. I was like, okay, vitamin D, magnesium, some B complex in the morning or during the day, game changer for her. She was like, I feel like a completely different person. Yeah, because you were running on empty. Forget the hormones and all of that. If you don't have the basic nutrients that your body needs, and most people are deficient in for sure vitamin D and magnesium,
especially when they're under high stress. I think in my ignorance, so I didn't learn any of this like on the supplement side of stuff, any of that through nursing school or nurse practitioner school. I only took one nutrition class, and even that was optional. But after starting my own business and really seeing the amount of clients who were coming in just highly, highly stressed with all these different symptoms, and then of course going through it myself, realizing that when you are under a chronic amount of stress, whether real or perceived, because perceived stress is still going to get interpreted the same exact way in our brains and our bodies, we dump nutrients. And so my philosophy when I was practicing in the office as a nurse practitioner was, if you're eating a balanced diet and you're getting a variety of whole foods, you shouldn't need a multivitamin. You shouldn't need supplements. That was my really, really novice, ignorant brain back then. But now I recognize there are so many different things that play a role in,
Yeah.
even if we're eating the right foods, the right time, there are so many things that affect the absorption. I just posted a piece of content today about slowing down, eating undistracted, and that affects the absorption of contents of the food that we're eating. So even if you're eating the right things, you may still need to supplement with things like vitamin D and magnesium, and will completely change the game for you.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yep. Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing. So tell everybody more how you help people. What do you specifically do? How can they get in touch with you? All those things.
So my biggest thing right now is helping individuals become the healthiest version of themselves, regardless of what that looks like. So if that means you being able to lose 10 to 20 pounds, if that means that you have all of this high stress circumstances in your life and you want to learn how to better control it, and we can work on lifestyle modifications. Now that I'm incorporating Dutch testing, I do utilize that because that's a lot of really good data that I can utilize to create these customized plans. And the other side of it is also individuals with chronic health conditions. I act as that mediator between them and their healthcare provider, because a lot of times, and I say this coming from my background, where a client or a patient would do their own research and they would come at me and be like, well, I think it's this, this, and this, and I want to do this, this, and this. And there is such a level of pride and ego in the healthcare system when you go to the provider. They're the end all, know all, and that's just not the case. And so with me having my credentials and working one-on-one with the client, I can propose a plan and I say, okay, now I want you to take this to your doctor and have that conversation. They can look me up. They can Google me. I have the board certification. I have the license verification. And then it gives them a little bit more trust in their patient. And it's sad that it has to be that way.
It is sad, but it's
it
awesome.
has radically changed people's lives just by helping advocate for them and with them.
Yeah, I love that. That was a big part of my journey, was once I figured out, okay, this is the kind of food that I need and all that, then it was, like I said, it was having someone that I can have a conversation with that can actually just like validate my own research. Because I have gone down those rabbit holes, and I did out of desperation. And I think so many people do, whether it's dealing with an autoimmune thing or whatever. If you're not willing to accept it, I wish that we could get more people to not just accept a diagnosis as like, this is just what I am. I just have PCOS. No, you don't. You're dealing with it, but it's something that you can not have to deal with forever, if you make certain changes. Or I have an autoimmune disease. Well, those can come and go. We can do some things to like either make it less miserable or make it go away entirely. Maybe it's triggered by something you're doing. There's a lot of conversation out there that it's just, and now it's obesity. Obesity is a disease. Okay, great. Now everyone just thinks that they're destined to be obese. Instead of saying, hey, this is what I'm dealing with, is the condition I have right now. What can I do about it? And those that are willing to go on those rabbit holes and do their own research, and then they go and talk to their doctor, and like you said, they just get shut down. It's really defeating. It's really frustrating, not to mention time consuming. So I'm happy that we're having this conversation.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Kim, it has been amazing to chat with you. Where's the best place for people to find you? Social media, Instagram?
Instagram. My handle is Sophrosny Health _coaching. That is SOPHROSYNE _ health coaching. I also have a website where you can ask for more information at sophrosnyhealthcoaching.com. And I'm also on TikTok. It's kim.flores.87.
All right. I am not on TikTok, but we'll find you in all
just started. It's okay.
I'm like, I can't. It's just too much for me. It's too much, but I love it. Awesome. Well, this has been super fun. I hope people will connect with you, and I hope they'll reach out with questions. And thanks for having this conversation.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining me today. Remember, you're in charge. You're the only one who can create the life and the body you desire. You and only you. I'm here to guide you. I'm here to cheer you on, and occasionally to give you the kick in the ass you need to make it happen. But at the end of the day, it's up to you. If you found value in today's episode, please hit subscribe. It'll bring all the newest episodes to the top of your list. You won't have to worry about it. One less thing. And I would love for you to share it with your most stressed out, frazzled friend. She needs it even more than you do. If you have a question or a topic that you'd like me to cover, reach out, shoot me a message on any of the socials or directly on my website. I would love to hear your idea, your question, and I'm always looking for new ones. Until next time, keep being the badass you are, and remember, you are in charge.